I missed my stop on purpose. The bus driver didn't know it yet, but he was walking into a trap. His name is Mister Kante. You see, one thing about Hawkins, where I live, is that everyone knows everyone. Not literally, of course. There are always a few new faces drifting in from the highway, you know, those drawn to the mysteries of Hawkins. Hawkins is the kind of place where if you sneeze on Main Street, someone 3 blocks away will hand you a tissue before you're done. So when something unusual happens, even something small, the news spreads like a spark on dry grass. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand the place I live. But this story isn't about Hawkins. It's about Mister Kante, our school bus driver. Or, I guess I should say, our former school bus driver. If loyalty were a piece of clothing, Mister Kante would have worn it like a second skin. Everything about him, the way he lived, the way he moved, the way he spoke, felt steady, dependable. Like he'd been carved out of the same material as the yellow bus he drove. For 25 years, he held the same job, driving kids to and from school. 25 years of showing up every single day. No sick leave. No lateness. No drunkenness. No reckless driving. Just the same speed, the same smile when we climbed the steps, the same warmth that wrapped around us like a blanket. Everyone I know who isn't already a parent rode in Mister Kante's bus. My brother Jamie, now in university, sat in the same seat I sit in now. My sister, well, she isn't in college like Mum tells people. She got pregnant and ran away from home, and now no one talks about her. Mum keeps up the lie, but I'm pretty sure half of Hawkins knows the truth. Secrets don't last long here. So when word got around that Mister Kante was resigning, it hit us like a punch. Who would drive us now? Would the new driver be kind? Would he know our names? Would he care? And what would Mister Kante do next? He was 50, with a wife who worked at the community response office. The place you call when something goes wrong that isn't crime or violence. They had a 15-year-old son who looked destined for football greatness. Some kids whispered that maybe Mister Kante was retiring to become his manager. But the truth was simpler. He wanted to run a coffee shop. Apparently, it had been his dream for years. We didn't love the idea. Selfishly, we wanted him to stay, but we wished him well. Today was his last day driving us. Tomorrow, a stranger will sit in his seat. I wasn't ready. Maybe that's why I fell asleep on the bus. Or maybe it was the heat, or the way the engine hummed like a lullaby. Whatever the reason, I missed my stop. When the bus finally rolled to a halt at the last stop, ready to be parked for the day, Mister Kante looked back and found me curled up against the window. "Hey," he said gently, shaking my shoulder. "You all right there?" I blinked awake, embarrassed. "Sorry. I don't know what happened." "You look pale," he said, concern creasing his forehead. "Are you feeling sick?" "A little," I admitted. It wasn't exactly true, but it wasn't exactly false either. Without hesitation, because that's who he was, he turned the bus around and drove me back. When we reached my stop, I stood up too quickly and swayed. "Easy," he said. "Do you want me to walk you home?" I nodded. "If you don't mind." "Of course I don't mind. But you tell your parents, all right? Whatever's going on, they need to know." He walked beside me, steady and patient, asking every few steps if I felt dizzy or needed to sit. When we reached my house, I pushed open the door and stepped inside. And that's when it happened. Surprise. The shout nearly knocked Mister Kante backward. Every kid he dropped off that morning was there, all 42 of us, along with our parents. My mum stood in the middle of the room, smiling like she'd been holding the secret in her cheeks. What is all this?" Mister Kante asked, stunned. I grinned. "A send-off. For you." He looked at me, eyes wide. "You planned this?" "Well, I was the decoy," I said. "But it was everyone's idea. Sort of." We sang for him, loudly, off-key, joyfully. Someone brought out a cake, and he cut it with hands that trembled just a little. Then we presented the painting. Tomas, the best painter in our class, had worked on it for weeks. It showed 42 smiling kids surrounding a man dressed as Batman. And in bold letters across the bottom, Mister Kante, our hero. He stared at it for a long time before speaking. "You kids," he whispered, voice thick. "You didn't have to do all this. But we did. Because last year, he saved a girl from being kidnapped. Something he never bragged about, something he barely talked about at all. He had dropped her off at her usual stop and watched her walk away. But before he pulled off, he noticed a man lurking nearby. To anyone else, the man might have looked normal. But Mr. Kante knew Hawkins like he knew his palms. He sensed something wrong. He turned off the engine, grabbed his whistle, and followed. When the man grabbed the girl and tried to drag her toward a van, Mr. Kante lunged, blowing the whistle with everything he had. People came running. The man was caught. The girl was saved. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear bus driver uniforms and carry whistles. After the painting had been handed to Mr. Kante, the parents stepped forward. Mum spoke on their behalf. "We've all agreed," she said, "to visit your coffee shop at least once a week. Every single one of us. You've taken care of our children for years, this is the least we can do." For the first time since I'd known him, Mr. Kante wiped tears from his eyes. He wasn't just a driver. He was a friend. He bought us birthday gifts, which, when you think about it, is a lot of gifts. He visited kids in the hospital. He knew every name, every allergy, every sibling, every dream. People like him are rare. And in Hawkins, we try to take care of one another too. When the party ended and the sun dipped low, Mr. Kante hugged each of us goodbye. When he reached me, he held on a little longer. "Thank you," he said softly. "For today. For everything." I smiled. "We should be thanking you." Tomorrow, a new driver will take us to school. But no matter how many years passed, no matter how many buses came and went, there would only ever be one Mr. Kante. And Hawkins, small, nosy, tightly knit Hawkins, would never forget him.